I'm Comfort. I'm Madu. Welcome to the news on NTA International. We're streaming live on Vision TV 247 and other social media platforms displayed on your screen. Let's bring you the headlines. Moments of tribute as Christian non-denominational service holds nationwide for Nigerians' fallen heroes. Vice President Shettima jets to Switzerland for World Economic Forum. 83-year-old Danish Queen Margrethe II abdicates throne to Prince Frederick over falling health. Thanks for joining us. Vice President Kashim Shettima has departed Abuja to represent Nigeria at the 2024 annual meeting of the World Economic Forum scheduled to hold in Davos, Switzerland. And the Vice President will join other political and business leaders across the world at the annual forum to discuss global socio-economic and development issues. Top on Vice President Shettima's agenda, apart from the plenary session, is the launch of the Private Sector Action Plan for African Continental Free Trade Area, AFCFTA, at a special session to be co-chaired by him. He's also built to hold high-level discussions with the Managing Director of IFC, Mokhtar Diop, and Prime Minister of Vietnam, Pham Minh Chinh, among others. Also on the sidelines of the annual meeting, Senator Shettima will chair a roundtable dialogue on Nigerians' economic path. He will also attend a special session dedicated to building trust in the global energy transition program. And the Vice President is expected to return to Nigeria after participating in the week-long event. Zimbabwean is targeting a stronger foreign currency inflow from its diaspora this year. Money spent home by millions of Zimbabweans living outside the country is one of the most important sources of foreign exchange for the Southern African nation.
Zimbabweans in the diaspora sent more than $1.7 billion back home during the first 10 months of 2023, surpassing the $1.66 billion recorded for the entire previous year. The target for 2024 remittances is north of $2 billion.
They act as an alternative in terms of liquidity, foreign currency generation, capital for considerations for development overall, because credit lines are quite limited. Foreign direct investment is quite curtailed to some extent. So we need to find a way of realigning remittances from being consumptive to being productive. Productive in the sense that if they become they become more saving than consumptive, we create a liquidity for onward credit facilities, for lending, for production, for manufacturing, and enhanced capital utilization for our industries.
Efforts to mobilize more remittances and increase the participation of Zimbabweans abroad are being stepped up. The Zimbabweans in the Diaspora organization aims to identify investment opportunities back home.
We need a much more strategic approach to further enhance that particular amount so that it can go towards not just family and friends, but equally into the very many important issues that we want to look at, such as infrastructure.
In 2022, the government announced plans to float a diaspora bond on the Victoria Falls Stock Exchange to raise funds for capital projects, but it's yet to be rolled out. Authorities have been called on to address bottlenecks around money transfers, including lowering fees. That money is not only unaccounted for, but can't be deployed meaningfully.
It limits the traceability and the multiplier and the accelerator aspect in the formal economy. So to enhance value, we need to find ways and means of making that the circulation and the transmission of these remittances are formal. In that way, it widens tax space, liquidity is enhanced, foreign currency generation is realized, and overall economic development is achieved.
It's estimated there is at least $2 billion circulating in the informal sector here.
And following a surprise New Year's Eve announcement by 83-year-old Queen Margrethe of Denmark to abdicate the throne on the 14th of January, Denmark and the rest of the world witnessed the historic ceremony. Her signing to abdicate the throne set the stage for Crown Prince Frederik to become King of Denmark. Kolo Mohammed tells us more.
In over 900 years, this is the first time a Danish monarch will abdicate the throne. 83 years old Queen Margrethe, who spent the last 52 years of her life on the throne as Queen of Denmark, announced her desire to abdicate the throne on New Year's Eve, citing health issues arising from a back surgery she underwent in February of 2023. Even though not yet debilitating, the Queen simply said the health issue is a pointer to the fact that the time is right to transfer responsibility to the next generation. Succession in Denmark normally takes place at the Parliament, where the longest-serving monarch signs the declaration of abdication. Queen Margrethe is the first Danish sovereign in nearly 900 years to do so. Her decision was surprising, even though not unheard of, as in the last decade, we saw abdication in Belgium, the Netherlands, and Spain, all of which passed without catastrophe. A constitutional expert, Craig Prescott, told news agencies that the Britain's king is facing no immediate pressure to take big decisions after an assured and successful start to his reign. He, however, says this could become an option for the king in the years ahead, especially if, like Queen Margrethe, he feels like he starts to slow down as he gets older. Prescott believes this kind of abdication could provide an opportunity to refresh the monarchy by allowing younger generation to take on the throne. There is sense that a succession of elderly monarchs could make the monarchy increasingly remote from the people, and especially with the current happenings around the globe. Just yesterday, he was Crown Prince Frederik, and today, he's King Frederik of Denmark. Kolo Mohammed, NTA News.
Elsewhere, Taiwan voters have swept presidential candidate Lai Ching-te into power, defying China's warnings not to vote him into an election Beijing framed as a choice between war and peace. The president currently serves as vice president of the country's governing Democratic Progressive Party, DPP, which champions Taiwan's separate identity and rejects China's territorial claims. His victory has brought DPP a third term, which had never been seen under Taiwan's current electoral system. At stake is the peace and stability of that island, 100 miles off the coast of China, that Beijing claims as its own and to be retaken by force if necessary. Now, incumbent president of Comoros, Azali, seeking another term in office as president. Analysts describe the contest as close as the opposition is hopeful of winning the election. Details with Kolo Mohammed.
Comorans headed the polls to elect a new president. Reports say chances seem bright for the incumbent, as the opposition seemed divided between participating in and boycotting the elections. President Azali Assoumani casting his vote in the election, which he described as free and objective, even though opposition sees it more of a sham and subjective, designed to favor its architect, the incumbent president. The island nation's diasporans in France fume over continued elections cold shoulder. The diasporans say they made efforts to give support when there were financial needs in the land, but they were pushed aside when the elections came near. Appeals by diasporans have been lodged repeatedly with the Supreme Court of Comoros to make provision for Comorans and diaspora to vote in the spirit of inclusivity and sense of duty as well as belonging. This has been consistently ignored. Incumbent President Azali seeks fourth term in office. This, the opposition allude to outright incompetence, having spent 3 terms in office as president. A fourth term is needless, since 3 terms availed the island nation no economic growth, no meaningful development, and 0 human capital development. Kolo Mohammed, NTA News.
In Ecuador, prison staff held hostage by inmates have now regained their freedom. The nation's prison authorities say 158 guards and 20 administrative personnel were held hostage by inmates in at least 7 prisons. Here again is Kolo Mohammed with this report.
Violence erupted in Ecuador following the alleged prison break and escape by a drug kingpin. This led to internal crisis with the seizure of prison guards as hostages by inmates. Authorities say all guards and personnel held hostage have regained freedom. Security protocols, joint efforts of the police and National Army led to the release of all hostages who were held in various prisons across the country. The hostages were held since last Monday in at least 7 prisons amid an escalating security crisis in the South American country. Reports say the guards, many in tears, exhausted and supported by their colleagues shortly after their release, were thankful to God for their release unharmed. President Daniel Noboa congratulated the police and armed forces for the successful release of the prison staff. The country is in a state of emergency and high alert as a result of the incident. Kolo Muhammad, NTA News.
In Nigeria, an interdenominational church service in honor of fallen heroes of the Nigerian Armed Forces has been held in Port Harcourt, with Rivers State Governor in attendance. And the governor says peace and unity of Nigeria must be maintained as prayers were offered for the servicemen and government at all levels. Usinachi Samuel reports on this.
The interdenominational church service and Thanksgiving is in commemoration of the 2024 Armed Forces Remembrance Day celebration. St. Cyprian's Anglican Church, Hospital Road, Port Harcourt, venue of the event, was filled with the presence of military top brass, paramilitary and arms of security agencies and high-profile leaders of Rivers State. Governor Siminalayi Fubara, who took the Bible reading from 1 Kings 20, verse 10 to 29, commended the service chiefs and the servicemen for protecting the territorial integrity of the nation, stressing that the unity of Nigeria must not be compromised.
We will continue to give our support, not just to the fallen heroes that we are doing, but also those ones that are alive, because they also need to continue to defend the integrity of our country.
Bishop, Anglican Communion, Right Reverend Emmanuel Okojaja, admonished the church to strive to believe in the unity of Nigeria, adding that Nigerians must be patriotic if the nation must move forward.
No member of the military, including even paramilitary, can do their job very well if they are not patriotic. We need patriotism to get it right.
A minute silence was observed in memory of the fallen heroes, with special prayers for the living. In Port Harcourt, Osinachi Samuel, NTA News.
In Benue State, the chapter of the Christian Association of Nigeria is calling for more support for the armed forces and paramilitary formations in the country to tame the tides of insecurity. The event was the 2024 Armed Forces Remembrance Service held at the Chapel of Grace, Government House, Makurdi. And Elias Itiav brings us details.
The interdenominational church service held at the Chapel of Grace of the Government House, Makurdi, in commemoration of the 2024 Armed Forces Remembrance Day, featured intercessory prayers for the repose of the souls of members of the armed forces who paid the supreme price for the protection of their fatherland and for the sustenance of families of fallen heroes. Also prominent were prayers for ex-servicemen and their families for good health, divine protection for armed forces and paramilitary formations, security of the nation, and for leaders of Nigeria at all levels.
The message today is for our people to forgive our military people, so that genuinely will be able to pray for them.
Camp Chairman Benue State, Bishop Wilfred Anagwe, said the Armed Forces Remembrance Day always helps people to reflect on the courage and dedication of soldiers in defending the nation and even beyond the shores of Nigeria.
If Nigeria, under the auspices of Ecuador, would institute a constitutional government in Sierra Leone and Liberia, what is so difficult that we cannot allow Nigerians to move freely in this country?
Benue State Governor Hyacinth Alia, in his remarks, called on everyone to unite in expressing support to the armed forces through words and actions worthy of their sacrifices.
We must strive to honor their memory by upholding the values of unity, peace, and progress for which they fought and laid down their lives.
The interdenominational church service is put together by the state chapter of CAN in conjunction with the Benue State government. In Makudi, Elias, ATF, NTA News.
We have more messages on events to mark the Armed Forces Remembrance Day right after this break. Stay tuned.
The wait is over for the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations is here live on AfroSport. Don't miss out on the amazing action, 52 live matches, Super Eagles updates and more. AfroSport has got you covered. Stay connected on social media for exclusive content, challenges, games and live fan interactions. Your voice matters and Fans Connect is your chance to be part of the game. Join the countdown, set your reminders and immerse yourself in the excitement. AFCON 2023, where Africa's passion for football comes alive.
Yes, it's so painful.
Like and follow on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram at fansconnect.club. Also continue the conversation on www.fansconnect.club. AFCON 2023 is live on AfroSport. Free sport lives here.
From dusk to dawn, 24 hours a day, NTA International is with you in your living room, office, everywhere and anywhere. We provide the company you desire in terms of balanced and up-to-date news, programs and the best of entertainment. Tune in to DSTV channel 251, GoTV channel, Freeview UK channel 264, or you can download www.visiontv.co.uk, app for iOS or Android. You can also see us on Facebook and YouTube for quality content on the go. NTA International, Africa's window to the world.
In line with the spirit of Armed Forces Remembrance and to address the yearnings of wives of fallen heroes, plots of land have been donated to widows within the military community through the Defense and Police Officers' Wives Association. That's to promote livelihood support initiatives. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa reports.
A promise made 4 weeks ago has come to fruition with the presentation of checks and documents to the widows. This, the beneficiaries say, is a worthy cause which signifies hope for the women and orphans.
Your commitment to supporting the families of our fallen heroes is a testament to the enduring spirit of solidarity that defines our nation.
The president of the association and representative of the estate firm noted that the gesture reflects the impact of the services and dedication of fallen heroes to the defense of the nation's sovereignty.
Undoubtedly, this will not only provide shelter for the widows, but we also create a deep sense of belonging among the widows.
This is not just a piece of land. It is a promise of a brighter future, a symbol of hope, and a tribute to the love and sacrifice that echoes through time.
10 families benefited from the donation and are expected to utilize the plots for economic purposes. In Abuja, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
And the wife of the Chief of Defense Staff, Agogo Musa, brings succor and puts smiles on the faces of wives of fallen heroes of the Nigerian Armed Forces with palliative packages of consumables. A total of 120 widows benefited from the gesture, powered by the Defense and Police Officers' Wives Association. Ifoma Ihoje reports.
The outreach by the Defense and Police Officers' Wives Association in commemoration of the 2024 Armed Forces Day is to bring comfort and a level of succor to the wives of the fallen heroes to celebrate their contributions and, of course, their resilience in the face of adversity. In the emotion-laden event, the president of POA extends words of encouragement, assuring the widows of military personnel who served meritoriously and paid the supreme price for the country of more programs and packages to suit their pains.
We've been doing this even with other trainings and skill acquisition, and so from time to time we just do the best. This particular distribution today is to mark the Armed Forces celebration and Remembrance Day.
The Commander Operations Delta Save, Rear Admiral Olusegun Ferreira, is appreciative of the heartwarming gesture and commends the POA President and the Association for the initiative.
The President of POA has manifested very laudable projects that impact directly on our families, on our spouses. And this event here today is just one of those signs of her very large heart in honoring the sacrifices of our fallen heroes.
To say the women are grateful is stating the obvious, as some of the widows describe the outreach as one of its kind.
I appreciate her for feeling our pains. Thank God for bringing a great woman who actually came today and remembered us.
Mama Christiana Todo seems to be very happy. Mama, why are you happy?
I'm happy very much because I don't think all this was since when my husband died. I never see this kind of thing before. It can't make me over happy.
The outreach offered medical services for basic health check and vaccination. About 120 widows of Nigerian fallen heroes went home smiling with bags of rice, bags of beans, and several other supplies. From the headquarters Joint Task Force Operation Delta Save, Ifoma Ihoji, NTA News.
In other news, the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations has expressed its determination to pursue its new agenda without compromise. President and Chairman of the Institute Council, Ike Neleaku, stated this in Abuja. Hamad Jabani reports.
Meeting the President's dinner had over 50 media organizations and members of the Institute Governing Council in a one-on-one interactive session ahead of the agenda to discuss what the Institute projects. The event provided an opportunity for the journalists to consolidate on the existing relationship with the NIPR. The Institute is charged with the task of taking issues to the public, given the need for them to know the present government policies, particularly the present economic challenges being faced in the country and the current effort in repositioning the Institute.
Ensuring that only those who are qualified are allowed to practice PR. It shouldn't be a whole common affairs. It should be a profession that should be respected in line with global best practices. You go around the world, you see how PR professionals are respected. So Nigeria should not be different.
What therefore is next for the NIPR this year?
So we have introduced creatively some good programs that we are running that would now help us to offer better services to our members and make them to feel good being members of the institute. This is a professional institute. It should be run first as a profession, number two, as a profession that engages in both public and private sector approach. So we are now running it as an enterprise. And what do I mean? We are saying that the institute should be empowered.
It was, however, an opportunity to call on all public relations practitioners yet to be members of the institute to do so before the expiration of the deadline. Hamad Jabani, NTA News.
Governor Bala Mohammed of Bauchi State has commended President Ahmed Bola Tinubu for being a true Democrat, federalist and leader of substance. The governor made the statement in his address for his victory at the Supreme Court, as also mentioned President Tinubu as an advocate for the rule of law. Awal Abdullahi reports.
This is the atmosphere of supporters in Bauchi receiving victorious Governor Bala Mohammed. The governor staged a mega rally through some streets of Bauchi alongside the large crowd of supporters with political associates and terminators at the government house.
I'm grateful to the Nigerian judiciary, especially the Supreme Court,
I'm grateful to the government of President Tinubu, who believes in good governance, allowing the rule of law to persist. We want to leverage on what we have, we call our comparative advantage in agriculture, in SMEs and so on and so on, so that we can put food on the table. We will work with the federal government and its agencies to bring good governance to Bauchi.
Governor Bala Mohammed restated his commitment toward providing more dividends of democracy to the people of Bauchi State. In Bauchi, Awwal Abdullahi, NTA News.
In other news, operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency have intercepted a large consignment of Canadian loud and imported strong synthetic strain of cannabis packaged in 324 bags with a gross weight of 111.2 kilograms in Onikan area of Lagos Island, while being conveyed for distribution in an unregistered Grand Caravan vehicle by a 42-year-old suspect, Taufik Yusuf. A statement by the Director, Media and Advocacy, Femi Babafemi, indicates that the arrest of Taufik and seizure of the imported consignment came on the heels of the arrest of another suspect, Godwin Tengod, by NDLEA officers at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Ikeja, Lagos. He disclosed that NDLEA operatives at the Sako import shed of the import recovered 30,000 packs of tramadol, 225 milligram, consisting 300,000 pills. The consignment, which came from Karachi, Pakistan, was taken into custody. Following a joint examination with other security agencies at the airport. Meanwhile, various quantities of tramadol and cannabis sativa concealed in soles of sports canvas shoes going to Oman, as well as another consignment of tramadol and rofinol hidden in spices heading to the United Kingdom were intercepted at two courier firms in Lagos. Other suspects were arrested at different locations across the country for drugs-related offences. And next is sports update. All right, before we bring you the sports updates, let's look at various. Now, Victor Osimhen's quick-fire equalizer spared Nigeria a shock defeat against Equatorial Guinea in their opening game of the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations.